Second.
Board Member Alba?
Yes.
Board Member Discapline?
Yes.
Board Member Moore?
Yes.
Board Member Strong?
Yes.
Supervisor Brown?
Yes. Thank you, folks. All right, we are on to open public comment. Dr. Hoffman.
Hi, I'm Dr. Lance Hoffman, Civil Environmental Engineer, Research Scientist, Consultant, and a military veteran. My PhD is in Environmental Engineering. I have pending litigation with the town of Shandaken, but that is separate from what I'm talking about tonight. I represent a growing group of citizens. We are very concerned with raising taxes, flood risk, and environmental issues. We all have a moral obligation that if you see something, you must say something. We have reported to the town board and other authorities that in Shandaken, over the past several years, our roads have been widened, new roads constructed, and a private bridge constructed with public funds. These actions have been committed by the town of Shandaken, primarily by the highway superintendent, Eric Hoffmeister. Taken together and using very conservative estimates, these actions have cost taxpayers over $11 million in unnecessary and misappropriated funds. As the investigations continue, the $11 million figure will likely be greatly exceeded. There is also the massive amount of irreversible environmental damage and the exponential increase of flooding risk for which a dollar figure is hard to apply, nor is it easy to measure this potential risk to health and life. Town officials have been elected into office to look out for our best interest of the taxpayers. We the people expect you act honestly, with a high integrity, abide by the law, respectful of the environment, respectful of human rights, and perform your job duties in a manner in which you are expected when elected into your office. This does not happen. We want to start informing the town board and the public about specific examples, beginning tonight with 3 related problems. The facts have been submitted and are incontestable. We have an extensive list of laws, too long to read, that we believe are being or have been violated, which we may submit in writing to the town board at a later date. But for tonight, let us focus on the illicit construction of the private Muller Bridge with private taxpayer funds and the illicit and harmful widening of existing town roads and improper construction of new roads. The town was absolutely aware the Muller Bridge was private long before construction began. There are many sources always readily available to the town, such as the Association of Towns, the Cornell Local Roads Program, the New York State Department of Transportation Bridge Inventory, the New York State Comptroller, and many others, which the town should consult if there is a question about determining if a bridge is private and or if eligible for federal FEMA funding. We have also recently provided the town with a copy of a letter from the New York State Assemblyman Kevin Cahill confirming the Muller Bridge is private. The county executive verified the Muller Bridge is private. Another thing, that there are only 2 houses located on the other side of the private Muller Bridge, and 3 homes are needed when seeking the legal approval process to make a bridge become public under our town zoning code. The facts and proof can't be disputed. Muller Bridge is, and always has been, private. The town, Eric Hoffmeister and Rob Stanley primarily, proceeded on using $1.5 million of FEMA funds plus many thousands of incidental tax dollars to construct a private bridge, damaging the Fox Hollow Stream in the process. There can be no mix-up in bridge identification number, such as Rob Stanley described in March 2016 town board meeting. In 2012, the Natural Resources Conservation Service told our group they provided $283,000 in public monies to replace the private Muller Bridge. The town of Shandaken Highway Department provided the labor, materials, and equipment to reconstruct that private bridge. Numerous stream permit violations also occurred during this construction, leading to environmental damage, including fish kills. The private Muller Bridge was then added to the New York State Rising Program list as a private bridge needing replacement. Our group was told that the funding was too slow in coming, so the scheme to obtain FEMA funds was initiated. FEMA funds obtained by a municipal are only allowed by law to construct public bridges, not private bridges, as in this case. Interesting to note, citizens observed 40-ton construction equipment crossing over the 2012 installed bridge when the 2016 construction was underway. The Muller Road was doubled in length and widened illicitly. The construction also violated the Memorandum of Agreement with the New York City Department of Environmental Protection. The soil erosion, stormwater runoff, and flood risk were greatly increased. The amount of damage done to property owners where the illicit private bridge construction took place is irreversible. The amount of environmental damage cannot be reversed either. The town's maintenance of the private Muller Bridge and the private road which was built in association with that private Muller Bridge must cease immediately, effective February 6, 2017. The taxpayers demand that these monies be reimbursed by the parties responsible. Eric Hoffmeister and responsible parties should remit their funds over the $1.5 million to pay for the loan that was taken out by the town to cover the cost of construction before the next month's town board meeting, 6th of March 17. The bottom line is that taxpayers will not and should not pay for a private bridge. Many of the town roads have been illicitly widened from what they were previously existed for many years by Eric Hoffmeister before Eric Hoffmeister became superintendent. New roads have been illicitly made. The law is very clear. In order to widen a town highway or construct a new one, there are a number of approvals such as town board, Ulster County Highway Commissioner, environmental approvals, landowner approvals, and more that must be acquired, and there must be a good reason to authorize the additional tax expense.
I have to change the tape. Do you want to wait a minute?
Thanks.
I'll wait a minute.
Good?
Where do you want me to pick up that?
You left that photo. Not much more?
No. The law is very clear that in order to widen a town highway or construct a new one, there are a number of approvals, such as the town board, Ulster County Highway Commissioner, environmental approvals, and landowner approvals, and more, that must be acquired, and there must be a good reason to authorize the additional taxpayer expense. Unlike county or state roads, town roads are not owned by the town. In other words, the town does not hold the deed. When Eric Hoffmeister took office, many roads were illicitly widened and often resurfacing material was placed over the widened areas. Other areas were made wider by the snowplow. In 2012, Eric Hoffmeister constructed an illicit, unapproved, lengthy new portion over 1/2 mile long and 18 feet wide of Station Road, which was built on top of the county railroad. And then in 2016, it was raised and widened again to 22 feet wide. The construction filled in a floodplain with an estimate of over 144 dump truck loads of fill material. Many trees were cut down along the Esopus and on county property. Wetlands was also filled in and completely destroyed. This illegal filling, destruction of wetlands, and cutting of trees resulted in an exponential increase in flood risk. The town also received a letter dated December 15, 2016 from the Ulster County Highway Commissioner to remove the illicit and unauthorized road expansion of Station Road off of county property. However, as of this date, the town has not done this and continues to plow sand and salt a large section of Station Road expansion. Not all of the towns were widened or lengthened, but measuring the ones that were, the amount of land encroached on the property owners by this widening, lengthening, and making new roads is estimated to be equivalent of building an additional 13.5 miles of town highway. That total would be equivalent estimated 20% increase over the existing 67 miles of town-maintained highways and exponentially increases the flood risk. That would mean that it would cost taxpayers 20% more in tax dollars to maintain the illicitly stolen private properties. This serves a notification for the 10-year rule. The people are objecting to the illicit taking of our land by the Town of Shandaken Highway Department throughout the town. The property needs to be returned to the landowners and damages reimbursed. Taxpayers will not and should not pay for the unauthorized and unapproved construction and maintenance of roads. This also means when corrected, we will see a substantial reduction in our taxes. Local flood analysis modeling is ongoing on in the Town of Shandaken. We were shown a slide at a recent local flood analysis meeting, 12/20/16 by Malone and McBroom, that just 2 small loads of fill placed in a floodplain has an exponential increase on the flood risk. Eric Hoffmeister has filled in the floodplain and wetlands with multiple, estimate of over 144 dump truck loads of fill. Talk about your community rating system. The National Flood Insurance Program Floodway Standards in 44 Code of Federal Regulations 60.3D restricts new development from obstructing the flow of water and increasing flood heights. In flat areas such as the filled-in Station Road area, the floodplain provides a valuable function for storing floodwaters. When fill are placed in a flood fringe, the flood storage areas are lost and the flood heights will go up because there is less room for the floodwaters. This is particularly important in smaller watersheds such as here in the Town of Shandaken that respond sooner to changes in topography. The base flood elevation, which is the peak level of floodwater during a regulatory flow, will be greatly increased. This increase in flood risk greatly increases the threat and danger to life, health, human safety, and the property of the citizens.
Lance, are you getting close?
Excuse
You're
me?
getting close to the end of your comment here?
I have just a half a more, not even a half a more page. And I'm speaking on a group of people, so
Okay,
quite a
that's
group
great,
of people asked me to speak.
I'll give you another minute. I mean, this
Okay.
is going on.
Therefore, we urgently need and demand to have the flood risk reduced by immediately removing this fill, restoring the wetlands, replanting the trees, restoring the county land, reimbursing our tax monies, and removing the invasive species. I'm going to skip over a couple of other things. And additionally, according to the bestplaces.net, which is a website, the population of Shandaken has decreased by 7.2% since 2000 and 5.5% since 2010. We certainly don't need a new town hall. We have an underutilized building such as the Phoenicia School that should be used if for some reason the people vote for a new town hall. Recovering the misappropriated funds and the population decrease taken into account, the taxpayers of the Town of Shandaken fully expect a resolution making at least 20% reduction in our taxes. We will not rest till justice is served. Tonight is just a start on the road to justice and correcting these wrongs. And we sign it forever vigilant and awaiting corrective actions, a group of citizens.
Thank you for your comment. I don't even know where to start. Yes. Let's start here. How many lawsuits have you filed against the town because your fence went down during the 6-foot snowstorm a couple of years ago?
Excuse me?
How many lawsuits have you filed against the town since your fence went down a number of years ago?
How many lawsuits?
Yes, I'm speaking clearly. You've had 2 unsuccessful lawsuits against this town, correct?
No, we're pending right now.
No, that's not what we understood. Oh, he's appealing now again.
Yes, it's
So,
an appellate
let's clarify
court.
that.
No problem.
This
This
started-
is totally irrelevant of my lawsuits, and I said that. All
No.
of these are totally
No,
irrelevant.
it's not. I
to
don't
that.
see it being irrelevant because everything you're talking about is around your property, Station Road, Muller Road Bridge. We've addressed the Muller Road Bridge. If you feel that you've got a strong enough case, then I would suggest you file a lawsuit somewhere. Because from what we know, you have gone to everyone, the Attorney General's office, the county executive. I mean, we still haven't seen a DA come down. We have all the proper documentation we provided these agencies to show that Muller Road Bridge is a town bridge. As a matter of fact, and I'm sure Eric probably doesn't want to tell this, but we have the resolution from 1954 when this town board took that bridge over. And part of their discussion during that town board meeting was the fact that they understood that if they started doing maintenance on that bridge, that was to be a town bridge forever. Now, I don't want to bore everybody here with the details on how bin tags were placed on the bridges by the county, and then it was transferred to the DOT, and some guy from the DOT was possibly walking around here with a clipboard in 1978 and may have mistakenly put that bin tag on a ditch on the Dutcher Road Bridge, which doesn't serve.
You're wrong. You're very wrong.
We can't speak with you. We tried to speak with you at the flood meeting where you got our engineers here and you sat here and went off and didn't let anybody get a word in edgewise from your section of the handle. So you can say what you'd like to say. Folks, we have the proper documentation and the right to fix all these things. I will say you are correct in that the town did receive word on a 20-foot section, 1.5 feet wide, where Station Road was accidentally graded by one of the employees of the town a little bit too far. And in the spring, the reason it's not been done now is because it's kind of cold and we got a lot of snow on the road. So we're doing that in the spring and we will rectify the situation. There's no fine coming. There's no deep investigation by taxation services. There is no misappropriation of funding. And just so you know, again, we do not get money from FEMA. We have to pay for the work to be done. And as you know, when you were harassing some of the employees that were working on that bridge, mind you, not town employees, but private contractors that were bringing in materials and such, while you were doing that, the bridge is complete. So to say, we don't want you to spend the money, those guys are paid. We're waiting for FEMA to reimburse us, and FEMA does ask for this documentation. We have provided this documentation several times. You continue to pursue, which I feel is a personal vendetta against Mr. Hoffmeister, because your stockade fence went down in an 8-foot snowstorm when your fence was located a foot, maybe less, from the edge of the road. So thank you for your comment, and I would ask that...
You're completely wrong, you're completely out of line.
I would ask, I'm out of line? This is my
Yes,
board
sir.
meeting. I'm sorry, guys. Appreciate your comment.
It's
Thank
the
you very
public's
much.
meeting as much as it's yours.
Thank you, Kathy. Any other public comments? Beth? Anita, you next.
I'm Beth Waterman. I'm trustee of the Phoenicia Library, and I just want to tell you about 2 special programs at the library. First is home delivery of books and materials from the library. We're offering this to people who are homebound. We have a volunteer who will make deliveries, and you just need to ask at the library to see if we can do that for yourself, for whomever, homebound people. Call the library 688-7811, and we'll do our best. The second thing is the fly tying workshops that are being held. This is also a library-sponsored program with Hank Rope. The first one takes place on February 18th at the Phoenicia Library between 10 and 2. The second and third meetings will be at the Phoenicia Fishing Game, but it starts at the library. If you want to attend, or if you know anyone who wants to attend, these classes are free. Hank gives the classes with the support of the Ashoka Paktan chapter of TU. Anybody over the age of 14 is welcome to come, or we might even consider a precocious 12-year-old. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can you hear me okay? Because I get scared. Okay. The Phoenician Neighbors is a large informal group of Shandaken residents formed over concerns about the CMRR's application to build a 2.5-acre railroad yard on the residential property, and I'm the speaker and the chairperson for them. Most of all, we fear that the CMRR will continue to escalate and that they have no intention of moving, and in that way will put the whole town in jeopardy. The CMRR withdrew its application for a railroad yard because after months of CBA meetings, we were able to establish the legal parameters that the CMRR properties have always been residential. We have affidavits here from long-term residents who lived in the museum and in that area. and the storage of trains on residential property is not allowed. These are a series of letters from our lawyers and from the town lawyers backing that up. And that the CMRR is a tourist attraction and not a common carrier utility. Again, the lawyers' letters back that up. The county has generously given the CMRR a place to move their trains to a 2-mile appropriately industrial area near Kingston and a working schedule for the move. Despite this, the CMRR has been saying that they need a place to move their trains. For months, they said they were cleaning up from Hurricane Irene, but they were building new tracks. And here we have citizens' complaints that as that was happening, people were writing letters saying they're building tracks. On a weekend when people were not available, the CMR are illegally connected to the county's tracks. By night, they moved their trains onto residential property, and then they dismantled their connections to the county tracks. Despite our ardent urgings, the town has not issued violations to the CMRR, but given them up to 9 months to work on moving their equipment, even though all of their actions have only reflected their desire to remain in Phoenicia and to build a railroad yard there. The Rail Explorer's projections suggest an influx of 10 times the visitors into town, which could provide an economic stimulus that Phoenicia so desperately needs. The CMRR Western section was a tourist attraction that could only go 5 miles at less than 15 miles an hour on weekends. Currently, they have no passengers, no freight, no tracks that go anywhere. They have deteriorating trains, abandoned trucks, huge piles of scrap metal, broken engine parts, and mounds of debris, which amount to a junkyard. And these are pictures that are actually this close to where the new endeavor is going to be bringing in tourists. This is exactly what they're going to be seeing. Here are pictures. There are huge piles of metal and debris, and they have 3 or 4 huge trucks. And these are visible right from the county's tracks where the new tourist is. So let me see. Here I have, these are letters people have said. So these are from people in the Phoenicia neighbors who have written letters to you, to the ZBA, to the planning board, to the county. And these are some of the issues that most of them have been very upset about. Storing deteriorating trains where flooding is at its worst, escalating the number of dilapidated trains, damage to the rural nature of our beautiful hamlet, threat to property values, and not just on our street, but through the town by industrialization of residential property, jeopardizing the town economy as tourists come here for the rural nature and clean air. The junkyard nature of the appearance that could affect tourism and hamper the new endeavor of the rail bikes. The inappropriate plan of a railroad yard on residential property in the floodplain in a tiny rural village. Flagrant disregard for the zoning code and town laws. Most of all, they fear that the CMRR will continue to escalate and that they do not intend to move, and in that way they will put the whole town in jeopardy. The railroad does have a place they can go where train storage is allowed. We should hold them to it. We love this town, and we want to preserve the sweet rural character of our beloved hamlet. We ask that you listen to the many scores of voices as we depend on you. And here are letters and affidavits. Thank you.
Thank you. Alan, did you want to say something? I'm sorry, I'll give you in a second. They're on the same topic, so I just figured.
Yeah, I'll do it quick. I didn't realize that it was being, okay. To Rob Stanley and the Shandaken Town Board. In the mid-1980s, my wife and I bought our home on High Street, across the street from the Railroad Museum. There were a few trains on the track, and then it was a tourist railroad. The Railroad Museum and the railroad were quaint in their rural setting. There were shrubs, overgrown grass. We used to walk our dogs to the Esopus and back. Our home was built on a small lot. When the land became available next door, we bought it. The property included several acres across the street adjacent to the Railroad Museum and the railroad. A representative of the museum came to us and said the land on their side of the road was promised to them by the Ring family who sold us the land. The declaration was not stimulated at all when we bought the property. But we gave the land to the museum for no charge, for free. We wanted to be good neighbors. Now I wish we hadn't. The Catskill Mountain Railroad got evicted from Kingston. They bought a lot more old trains in deteriorating conditions and stored them on the tracks. And that's what the pictures are. At one time I counted 20 cars. The train station looks like a floating junkyard. They applied for a variance for 2.5 acres of railroad yard in the floodplain and an 8,000 square foot facility to work with toxic substances on decayed trains. Our Phoenician neighbors worked 6 months to establish to the Zoning Board of Appeals that this was legally not allowed before the